Hello and welcome to Innovation TV Live at CARTES Secure Connections. The opening summit has just ended, and I have the pleasure to welcome the co-founder of Waze and FeeX, Mr. Uri Levine. Hello.
Thank you.
And welcome for being with us today. So, you're not the typical smart card industry person. You obviously have a lot of experience in building businesses, many of which are usually based in the mobile space. So could you explain how you start this process once you have the concept and of what you want to build and offer your consumers and businesses?
Thank you. So you're right. I'm not the typical guy. I'm more of a troublemaker guy. And, I am an entrepreneur and disruptor to many markets. And usually I will be focusing on a problem. And I'll try to solve that. And, I'll try to find a problem that is worth solving and then build a solution for that. So it's always about consumers. It's always about creating a lot of value to a lot of people. And this is what I'm constantly trying to do.
Okay. And do you automatically think of mobile first, or do you leave that open?
So depending on the problem, right? If I'm trying to build a solution, maybe it's mobile, maybe it's internet, maybe it's something completely different.
And many of our audience here are from the security background, and the common themes for CARTES and TRUSTECH are payments, identity, and mobility. So when do you look at these aspects, and how do you go about building them into your startups?
So, I'm more looking at it from the perspective of the user. And in many cases, this is about making life simpler, right? So just imagine yourself going into the store and finding something that you like, and then waiting in line and for paying for that. And if there will be a better solution for the consumer perspective, that you can simply, buy whatever you want and walk away and not waste any more time with that, then that will be excellent. Now, obviously, many of the things that we are seeing here today are eventually will be addressing exactly that point.
Okay. And I imagine that creating a startup gives you a lot of freedom to innovate and disrupt. Starting with a blank slate and coming at it with a new approach in terms of integrating payments, user authentication, and security for devices and cloud access. What are the challenges and questions that the CARTES TRUSTECH community here can help you address?
So finding the balance is the biggest challenge, right? Because, fraud is a big issue, right? But let's not make any mistake about it, that we spend dramatically more money on trying to prevent fraud than the actual problem of fraud, right? So finding the right balance is the challenge here.
Okay. And what about the most exciting aspects when looking at the crossover between traditional online and mobile applications?
In most cases, most of the users today are using more mobile than they are using anything else. So in that case, think of mobile first as part of your solution, and then figure out whether or not there is additional presence except the mobile or not.
Okay. And for example, when crossing between different channels and devices, does it make it much more complex to provide the same and equal universal user experience?
At the end of the day, most of the users will be actually using single device. So if you're using that from the mobile, that will be nearly the only device that you're using. If you're using the same service from the web, that will be nearly the only device that you'll be using for that. And so you need to optimize for the user and not for the device.
Okay. And maybe a final question. Where do you see the future for payments and identity?
At the end of the day, that's going to be mind reading, right? So if I want to make any payment, I basically make up the decisions, and I don't care how it happens behind the scene. And if we can make that transparency for the user, then we de facto changing the world. Now, most likely this is going to happen through the mobile device initially, And maybe with the biometric or the fingerprints or the face recognition or something that will make sure that me is actually me and making the payment on my behalf. That's probably going to be the first phase. But eventually, you simply make the decision and this is it.
Okay. And are you looking for anything in particular in CARTES TRUSTECH this year?
So I'm, wandering around trying to figure out what's new, and maybe I'll get new ideas for a new startup, and we'll see.
Okay, thank you so much, Uri Levine, for being with us today.
Thank you.
Pleasure.